Hello, everyone. My name is Naomi Gillia, and I am the Senior Manager of Field Marketing here at Lucidworks. Thanks for joining today's webinar, Holiday Readiness, How to Prepare for the Most Critical Time of the Year. Before we get started, I want to go over some housekeeping. Please make sure your volume is turned up to hear the audio from today's presentation. We'd also love to hear from you during the webinar, so if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to enter them in the Q&A box. We'll have time at the end of the session to answer the questions that come in. Lastly, today's presentation will be recorded and the slides and recording will be sent to you after the webinar. So I'll now turn it over to Garrett to introduce today's speakers. Garrett?
Thank you, Naomi, and welcome everyone. I'm really excited about today's discussion and the content we're going to be covering. I'm Garrett Schwegler, the Program Manager of Digital Commerce at Lucidworks. I've spent a number of years in the trenches of holiday and holiday preparedness as a search manager. And about a year ago, I transitioned to what some of us may consider the evil side of all of this, software and consulting. Today, we're joined by Tim Boyle from KUHL, who's a customer of Lucidworks. I was really excited when Tim said he'd be willing to participate. I'm a big fan of KUHL for my hiking and backcountry skiing gear, as well as my work from home gear. I love the brand, the story, the product, all of it. Tim, welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the group.
Hi, Garrett. Thanks for having me, guys. Good to be here with Naomi, Peter, and you, Garrett. So my name's Tim Boyle. I am a ex-ski bum who moved out here following my brothers in 1984, my senior year of high school. And those two guys went on to start KUHL, which was Alpha at the time. And I came back, I'd come back for ski seasons, full, like dishwasher, whatever it took to be a ski bum. And then finally I graduated with a degree in philosophy, and I ended up coming out in 2010 with my college backpack to dog sit. And I'd done copywriting work for KUHL. And so I took my liberal arts degree because I knew they needed someone to manage the website. So I said, Kevin, if you, give me a chance, let me become your e-commerce officer. And he said, you got to start out in data entry. So 10 years later, we've stuck it out and played together. We've seen some pretty good success.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. I actually secretly aspire to follow in your footsteps of this successful ski bum. So looking forward to it. We're also joined by Peter Curran, General Manager of...
We tried to ski one time, didn't we, Garrett?
We did.
Yeah. Okay.
Come in next winter. And so we're also joined by Peter Curran, the General Manager of Digital Commerce at Lucidworks. Peter, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Garrett. Hey, Tim. Yeah, so I'm Peter Curran. I'm responsible for e-commerce product strategy and go-to-market at Lucidworks. Really happy to be here with you guys. I'm also a huge fan of KUHL apparel. I'm wearing one of the hoodies from them, as well as some shorts from them right now. I needed to buy some travel pants for a trip to Sweden a few years ago, where I'd be gone for 2 weeks and needed to pack light, and thought for sure I was going to look like the American goober tourist. But I bought a pair of KUHL pants, and they were fashionable, but also super practical, and just a huge advocate of the brand and love it. And oddly enough, the first time I talked to Tim, I was on that trip in Sweden wearing a pair of KUHL shorts when he called. And so it was, I think it was meant to be. So I'm really happy to be here with you guys today.
Thanks, Peter. All right, so here's the agenda for today. We'll kick it off with Tim. He'll give an overview of KUHL so that when we dive into the content, we'll have some context about the brand. And next, we'll discuss how KUHL decided to partner with Lucidworks for driving their fastest growing channel. After that, we'll hear again from Tim on what kinds of things he and KUHL are focusing on to prepare for holiday this year. Then we'll highlight some different and creative approaches for holiday prep that you should be adding to your playbook for this year. And lastly, we'll host a round of Q&A. And we only have about 45 minutes, so we'll jump right into it. So Tim, tell us a little bit about the brand. If you can touch base on, what kind of niche you guys are filling and how this came to be.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. I'm really pleased to be partnered with Lucidworks, and also just give everybody out there, I guess we're all brothers in e-commerce, and just an opportunity to learn a little bit about KUHL and share some of my experience very humbly of what I've learned over the last 10 years, if it can be of help of any at all. So KUHL, I think it's a nice segue from what Peter said. KUHL started in 1986 as a hat company with 4 ski bums, basically. One was a rock climber, and basically it segued into one of the partners, who happens to be my brother, Kevin, ended up with the company while the other brother peeled off, went to MBA, and ended up moving to China. And he's done our production for the last 20 years in China. But what became really special about KUHL was the fact that Kevin is very qualified and talented designer. And he's also a very humble person, and he's not a materialist at all. So these guys made a commitment to start with a $2,000 investment and not take any money out of the company. And as people's goals and dreams changed, it ended up in his hands. And he ended up being very talented at designing clothes that filled that niche that Peter just really nailed in his experience. We make what was not even known as athleisure. I feel like we kind of put it on the map. At the time when we moved into what we're widely known for, guys, is our men's pants and our articulated fit and 3D patterning. And at the time we started, there was probably, every brand did 1 or 2 pair of hiking pants, and we have 30 now. And they're kind of even though you may not know of us, we're bigger than most people think of, but we're also still small. We've never taken any venture capitalist money, which I think is pretty rare in most companies our size, and does not exist in the outdoor industry right now. So that's a little bit about the background of KUHL. And I could talk all day about how good our products are, but I'm just pleased that these guys are probably genuinely and comfortably wearing our clothes right now, and I think it's a genuine interest. And I happen to be wearing the most simple product right now, our T-shirt. But to tell you the truth, it's so well made, it's so comfortable. There's nothing more that you need to know about KUHL. Try our stuff. It's really well made, and it gives great value.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Tim. I can really see that attention to quality and how it can take you from the trail to the town. So where would people find your product?
Well, hopefully they'll come to our website, right? So that's what it's all about. And we do fight really hard to make it the most important channel, but we are with specialty mom and pop, the best specialty stores. And nationally, you can find us in REI, and Shields is a great partner as well. So we are very selective about the partners we take on.
Gotcha, yeah. And lastly, speaking about the website, KUHL.com, what kind of growth have you guys seen over the last couple of years?
Well, it's been phenomenal because we have such a, when I came in, the department was defunct. No one was really leading it. And we immediately rebuilt the website. And because the products are so good and we have a loyal following, we've experienced 40% growth sustained for the last 10 years. There's been different paradigm shifts we've been lucky to make just on time to keep that going. It's not going to stay at 40% forever. COVID has actually, of course, lifted all boats in the e-commerce world. Some of our paradigm shifts were getting our ad spend together and things like that. And we just surfed the wave at the right time and feel very fortunate for it. But it really is about the loyalty and the product loyalty to the product. It's not advertising. It's a good website, and we're lucky to experience 40% growth.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's huge growth. So let's transition a little bit and talk about how KUHL found Lucidworks. So a few years ago, when we were taking a conversation about this and preparing, you mentioned that search wasn't really a priority. The website seemed to be doing fine. It was fulfilling this direct-to-consumer need, but you started to dream up a vision and realize it might be time to head back to these commerce conferences and see what's out there. So can you tell me a little bit about the show in Chicago where you ran into Lucidworks?
Sure. Well, you're right. Search wasn't really on my wish list, and we were experiencing some really good performance site-wide. I did start to get some wish lists. I worked with a really talented team of developers, and so I just wanted to go back out and see what was available. I just thought it was time to go out on my own and spend some of the company's money on a trade show. I did Airbnb it, but you did use the dinner expense account pretty well. And my intention was to actually go to every seminar, but not really be on the trade show floor. I didn't want to waste anybody's time. I didn't want to walk up to people in their booths. But by the second or third day, I said, look, I'll go to the floor, but I'll start at the directory and I'll see if there's any topics. I must have got down there and I just noticed search. And I said, that's got to be a no-brainer, right? It's like we've made our own search. I know my developers are talented, but they're not specialists at this. And it was actually news to me that search was specialized, and maybe I thought we could get autocomplete. So I looked at the three providers. I walked down to the floor, and I just happened to come across Lucidworks booth, and I walked in there and struck up a conversation who happened to have lived in Maine, and I lived in Maine in my college years up near Sugarloaf, University of Maine at Farmington, and not many people live in Maine. It's kind of a unique thing. And we got talking, and I had a little exchange where they had really whet my appetite. And I walked back. I walked by the other two booths, but I really remembered kind of the Lucidworks group. And about 3 months later, when I checked in, it was pretty impressive. The owner had passed my name along, but nobody had really reached out to kind of sell me, but they knew about me. And it's a story really about nice synchronicity, because I feel like I found a home with these guys that everything was exactly what I was looking for. And I was looking to not only do something with search, but Lucidworks also offered artificial intelligence and machine learning for segmentation and personalization. And Garrett, I think we're going to get into that a little bit more, but that was and just a nice synchronicity was coming together when I walked into that booth.
Yeah, that's, even if by chance, we're happy that you found us. And so this vision for your site, as you're leading with personalization and the machine learning and the AI, you have at KUHL, right, like a small but mighty team. And so you wanted a platform to be smart and easy to use, but you also wanted more than search. So the personalization, the recommendations, segmentations, all of that in one easy package. And so if you just want to touch a little bit about, just briefly, because we'll dive into it in the next couple slides, but what your vision was for the segmentation, right? If it's
Sure.
If you have a customer in the north, right, you might want to show them some of the insulated jackets. And if you just want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so e-com guys out there, I know we're all e-com guys, but my most difficult hire in my career, and they must be in their own category, was server administrators. They have so much power, and so we finally landed a great guy. His name's Bogdan. He lives in Santa Barbara, but he's from Romania, and so we started building wish lists once we had a really good team member like that, and my chief developer. And I just said one day, because we were doing something with email marketing, guys, that was fairly novel at the time. I'd partnered with Matcha. It used to be called Roots Rated, to add, this is for SEM, to add some content to our blog. And when we got those stories, they're all about the outdoors, and you can serialize their stories and get them easily for a subscription. We started doing our email marketing with different regions of the U.S., and we wanted to do that with our homepage, and that's called segmentation. And so we had a wish list that was IP address identification. And your developers will tell you can do anything, and they'll admit you can do anything if it's time and cost. So when I found that Lucidworks could professionally get us to that level, that was the synchronicity that was coming together on that. But that was our goal. So our goal is if someone comes in from Florida, I want to show them, Florida, fine. I want to show them our great board shorts. And if someone's in Polbridge, Montana, and it's still winter sometimes on the June 4th holiday or July 4th holiday, I want to show them something they can throw on, a shell with maybe a fleece lining or something like that. And so that was the dream for segmentation. And then personalization is a no-brainer. We'll signal track, and if they like the color red in that bathing suit or neon green, it's going to be displayed to them on the category page. So it's appealing.
Yep, that's awesome. Thanks again, Tim. Thanks for that. So let's get into the good stuff, right? Why we're all here. So holiday readiness and how KUHL is going to prepare for the rush. And before we jump into the specifics here of what KUHL is going to be working on, I just wanted to share this quickly. So when I was chatting with Tim ahead of the event to understand KUHL's approach to holiday, he was literally rattling off the tactics and strategies, one after the other, that fit right in line with this e-commerce funnel, which I'm a huge fan of. And there's, probably a million iterations of this, but at the core of it, these should be what you focus on as a e-commerce business, right? Making sure that you're getting these customers to your site and all the way down to checkout and fulfillment. So when we take a look at what KUHL's focusing on, you'll see a pattern here and how it aligns. So KUHL really takes this continuous improvement approach to holiday preparedness, which I thought was pretty neat. So rather than a sprint ahead of holiday, they're taking really the entire year to focus on how they're going to improve the site and get the best bang for their buck at the biggest time of the year, right? It's not about cramming it all in these last couple of months and weeks ahead of code freeze. It's taking a look at the bigger picture, taking a look at that funnel, and seeing how they can tune the site to generate this rich customer experience. So if we start at the top, traffic, Tim, I've noticed some changes on the site over the last few weeks, and I bet it's really to help drive better traffic. And the navigation pane, I noticed popular pant collections and summer shorts, categories that might make a taxonomist a little bit crazy. They might be subjective, but you're really finding this balance between SEO equity and what your customers are looking for. So if you just want to share some of that information with us of why you made those decisions.
So taxonomy isn't necessarily my specialty, but SEO is, when I came on in 2010, SEO was almost old hat. But not really. I mean, it was probably de rigueur for the next 2 or 3 years, and then SEM marketing came along, content marketing. But it's just such an incredibly valuable channel. So we're working on it year round, and we have the luxury of having a full time. Well, he has other clients, but Bogdan, the server administrator, actually brought him in. We were looking for someone who could do SEO for us, and we're lucky to have that person. But what you're seeing lately, Garrett, is a partnership that we have with a company called Huckbuy, and they have a pretty phenomenal product where they help get dynamic rendering, so Google loves you. But part of Google loving you is also getting your site SEO optimized, and they're also consulting us with that, and then Odin executes it for us along with the developers where they're needed. So those changes in the upper left-hand corner of our drop-down nav menu, we went live with a redesign in 2016 without a drop-down menu. We did things a little conservative and take a little time. And when we realized it was valuable for Google, we added it, but now we're optimizing it. And those are the things you're saying. So upper left corner, popular pants, we do keyword research, we put them up there, we fight with the stakeholders because they might not like the best practice of using the gender in them, men's pants, men's hiking pants. Then we sit back and watch the results and continue to optimize. So it is a year-round process, and it is a very valuable channel. And I'm sure everyone's familiar with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then when it comes to search engine marketing, SEM, you guys, and I'm sure a lot of people in the audience probably have a tight budget this year, but that, kind of fits in line with your strategy. So when you target, it sounds like, on brand searches primarily, you're getting a pretty good return on your ad spend. And if you just want to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we do basically keep our ad spend at a certain return. And Garrett, if I'm going off topic a little bit, just pull me back in, because So our ad spend is basically branded keywords, and it gives us the best return on the buck, but it also does not provide new customer acquisition. So that was one of the paradigm shifts that we were trying to make with stakeholders, to explain that we have to give our money to the gorilla in the room, Amazon, to Google. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Jeff Bezos. And so we basically have to convince the stakeholders that generic ad spend is important. So one of the ways we get around that is doing some content marketing with the blog content and things like that. But yeah, our big return is keyword, branded keyword.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. And then what about emails? It's obviously a critical tactic to driving highly qualified traffic. Are you guys still sending like one email a month?
Yeah, so Garrett's referring to, so we have, with an entrepreneur, I have this rule watching my brother be an entrepreneur, and I say entrepreneurs, that the 80-20 rule is that they're right 80% of the time, but they're 20% of the time they're completely off base, and you can't tell them until somehow they kind of realize that they were off base. So at the beginning, when I started, we could only do one, and this is no joke, guys, this is 2010, and we could only do 1 or 2 email blasts a year. And also, we didn't have free shipping until COVID. So basically, our email marketing campaign has over time, attrition took over, and we did a good job with the ones we got out. And we got out from underneath the radar. And we do consult with our provider, Klaviyo. They'll do some strategy sessions with you quarterly. And so now we're up to 3 a week. And we do some things that are kind of interesting. I hope nobody's in the outdoor industry out there, but we do asynchronous to what everyone else is doing. So if people are doing July 4th, we'll wait a week and then do our ad. We figure you've seen Patagonia and North Face, and we know you're not going to like what they have as much as you like us. And if we show you 4 or 5 days later, so our email timing is on Sundays and then 2 in the middle of the week, and we tweak those all the time. And we're product focused. I think that's why people, again, it's about the product. People do like our emails, and they do seem to open them consistently because the products are good. And then of course it's all the lifestyle photos and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a different and unique approach. And I think these are the kinds of ideas that people are going to be open to, of how to do things differently this year. So moving on to product discovery, I know you're actively working on getting Fusion tuned up for holiday, but also expanding its impact on the site. And so like we were saying before, you didn't just want another search engine. And so I know recommendations are going to get launched any day now, powered by Fusion. The browse experience is coming probably within the next couple of weeks, powered by Fusion. And this is really going to build the foundations to tackle personalization and segmentation, which you also have down on the list. And so I know we briefly talked about it before, but if there's anything else that you want to add here about segmentation, personalization, product discovery.
I think we covered it pretty good. I mean, we could have done this ourselves eventually, but nowhere near what we're going to get when we have solar working and Fusion up, and the fine tuning that we're getting by partnering with Lucidworks. So basically, we're looking forward to going from those basic steps of improving zero search results, auto completion on search, to it powering recommendations, and eventually the browse feature is what will segmentate and and give personalization for the category pages and home pages. And we're really looking forward to getting it live. It's a dream.
Awesome.
For sure.
It is. So yeah, this is really the kind of vision and technology alignment that really fuels the rich shopping experience. When you think about it, we may not be shopping in stores this holiday season. So it's important to think, are you tracking what your shoppers are searching and clicking on, adding to cart? Can you infer from that information and influence the rest of the experience so that, not only are we suggesting products, either based on the items that they're viewing or based on the kind of person and shopper that they are, but we can also start influencing the search results. And when you're direct to consumer, or even like a broader retailer, you're going to get a lot of new traffic this year, and the expectations are going to be high. So it's really important that this product discovery, to me, this would be like the largest and biggest focus of executing ahead of holiday. It's really going to be critical this year. So moving on to checkout, checkout's often, forgotten when it comes to a critical component of the e-commerce experience. And for obvious reasons, it's really critical. So when we talk about removing friction in the experience, this is often the biggest opportunity, whether it's consolidating fields, using auto-suggest for the addresses, or giving options and flexibility for purchasing. There's a lot of friction in this last mile of the conversion. So Tim, if you could talk to us a little bit about the different payment options you guys are going to offer this year, and also about guest checkout.
Sure. So basically, in a nutshell, we are taking on some changes to our checkout flow, our cart. Basically, in a super easy summary, we're going to add PayPal credit, and that comes, so it's new buttons from PayPal, and it's going to have Venmo for the 20-something generation that are totally all about that. I was a little bit. I actually was approached in January with the PayPal new sales representative. I didn't want to add credit to our website. I didn't want to have college students maxing out for credit cards. But with COVID hitting, it just seemed like it was actually a service we could offer. PayPal expects us to actually see some big conversions increase from that, and maybe adding some of their other features. And in coinciding with that, we did do surveys. We know that people were abandoning for 3 reasons. One, we also fixed with COVID by offering free shipping. We're very slow and conservative. Like we said, we started with $2,000 investment and bootstrapped up. We don't have venture capitalism to give away free shipping, and everyone knows there's no such thing as free shipping, right? Amazon built that into their price. So and we give people great value with our clothes, and our margins are smaller than they could be. So we have to be conservative, but we added free shipping. That was the one. But the other 2 were the checkout was too long, which is, you can, like you said, you can always be reducing the friction, and it's an important goal. And the other one was not having guest checkout. Now, the reason we didn't want to do guest checkout and we dragged our feet, because everybody knows email marketing is your most valuable channel. We had it set up so that if you got if you made a purchase, you were going to be on our newsletter list, and then you had to opt out because it's such a valuable channel. So we were really conservative about moving to guest checkout, but it is the number 2 reason after you get rid of free shipping is the no checkout option. We get abandonment, so we're going to add that in coinciding with the new PayPal buttons, and we do hope that it's going to increase conversions.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's flexibility in that last mile is really going to boost those conversion numbers. I 100% agree there. So lastly on the slide, we have Chatbot. And earlier this year, you launched a Chatbot solution on KUHL.com. And I know it's still early, but it's a huge win when it comes to customer service going into holiday. Maybe people aren't going to be in stores as much as they were in previous shopping seasons. So if you just want to talk a little bit about why you put Chatbot on the site and what you're using it for today.
Yeah, so this is kind of a no-brainer. If you can get people to be using Chatbot, it's going to save people time and energy. We tried to do it 2 or 3 times in the past, and there really wasn't enough buy-in from customer service. Not really through no fault of their, not really like, the truth is KUHL does a lot with less people than most companies our size. So where we have, we grew to maybe 100 employees, a similar company our size has 200 or 300 people. And, they pay the price for it to some extent, but we pay the price in the sense that, can you get buy-in from customer service to use a feature like chat? Well, when COVID came, it became obvious that they stepped up their game in a big way. They changed their hours, and they were willing to try chat. Chat is now on. It is providing a valuable service. In the past, it was as simple as customer service wasn't using it, so why have it on your website? But when you can get buy-in from customer service, it's a valuable tool, and we are super excited to be able to get, in the future, we will get it to where we have auto-suggested and answers, and that's going to save customer service even more time, because people will type in an RN number that's really not going to identify the style, the chatbot will be able to tell them that in the future. So we're looking forward to, partnering with Lucidworks to bring it up to that level in the future. But thank God right now we're using chat, and it's helping customers who are internet savvy enough to use it.
Yeah, that's perfect. And you're right on track. Get it up, get it in front of the customers, be there for them when they need you. And I think we're really going to see chatbots take off this season. We've seen them on sites over the last couple of years, and I think they're becoming more prominent, more forward. And it's not just about like, where is my order, or these basic customer service things anymore. It's probably going to start moving further up this funnel and into the product discovery portion. And I know Peter might talk a little bit about that later, but it's going to evolve into, can you tell me more about these hiking pants? Or I'm going to go to Sweden on a hiking trip, and have it be this conversational tool to help customers make purchase decisions that, they might get that experience in a store, and now they can get it on the website. So it's pretty neat. All right. Well, thanks, Tim, for that. That's a wrap on the cool side of it. So now we're going to jump into how to level up against your competition for the holidays. So the concepts of these activities are relevant and applicable really to everyone on the call, whether you're a Fusion customer or not. Our intent here is to provide value for all of you. So as a reminder, if there's questions that arise during the segment or that have been brewing in your head earlier about what Tim's been saying, please put those into the chat, and we'll get to those at the end. So this first strategy is something that I'm really excited about. This is a strategy many of you may be familiar with and may be doing it today, but it's a whole lot of manual work. And this is talking about optimizing your search engine marketing. So this is something that we can help out with that doesn't require Fusion. So it doesn't require a search platform. And let me give you a quick lay of the land. Let's say we are Crate and Barrel, for example, and we sell all kinds of home goods and furniture, including home office desks, really neat ones, in fact. And what we see in the chart here on the left is the concept that head keyword buys, like desk, is going to be very competitive. And, we heard Tim talking about this earlier. Search engine marketing is very competitive these days. And what that really means is that these are expensive. So you might be getting the clicks, probably at a pretty penny, but you may not be getting the conversions. And that's really going to lead to a poor return on ad spend. So instead, let's target the tail keywords. And in commerce search, we know that the tail can be expansive and that there's actually higher intent in the tail. And so that sounds pretty good, right? So there's also less frequency, meaning that they're going to be less competitive and less expensive. So examples like kids' desk and chair sets, or walnut secretary desk. The list goes on of tail queries that would fall into the category of somebody shopping for a desk. So these are going to cost a lot less and drive better quality traffic to your site. And you might be asking yourself, like, okay, there's Google has a tool out there that does a query expander and things like that. So how is this different, or how can I automate and operationalize this? So we can take your search and signals data from whatever platform you're on and plug it into a query expansion model that will take the head searches on your site and identify similar queries further down in the tail, while also including your user signals and interactions with those searches to ultimately suggest high engagement tail queries. So taking a look at the searches, what people are clicking on, what people are adding to cart and purchasing, and finding where there's value in the tail to help influence the tail query keywords. So then we can plug it into your AdWords to output a list of optimized AdWord bids. And from here, you can either approve the bids or just let the system automatically approve the bids for you. So this is a pretty cool tool. I love it. It's very powerful, especially as we think about how competitive ad spend is going to be during the holidays. We know a lot of budgets have been reduced. This is something that's really going to make an impact this year. So next, I'll hand it over to Peter to speak to search tuning, something he's been doing for a few decades.
Hey, thanks, Garrett. Yeah, so, as you look forward to holiday, I think the most important thing to start with is just a level of familiarity with what people are searching for. And so that starts by looking at reports around popular queries. And what I would encourage you to do is try to look at those queries, try them out, and focus your attention on problems of certain types before problems of other types. So, for example, if you search Crate and Barrel for desk, and you see a desk lamp showing up first, followed by a set of desks, that immediately is going to strike you as a problem and cause you to want to go fix it. And while that impulse may be correct, because someone searching for desk is probably not looking for a desk lamp, even though they contain the same word, it's really more important that you focus on the products that don't come back when they should. So if I search for desk and I see 30 desks, my emotional response to that might be, as I'm preparing for holiday, that's a good set of results because I've got 30 desks matching my query for desk. But if in truth I have 100 desks for sale, then it's a problem because 70 of the products that the customer could potentially purchase are not shown. So as you look through a set of reports of keywords, try to focus your attention to tuning on, first and foremost, queries that return nothing when they ought to return something. Secondly, anything where you have a false negative, in other words, those 70 desks that weren't returned. And then finally, turn your attention to putting the desks that you most want to sell ahead of the ones that you don't want to sell. So if you organize your time to solve problems in that order, you'll have the best possible outcome in terms of search tuning. In addition, I think it's a really good time now, if you don't do it already, is to get out of what I was just describing, which is a subjective and emotional kind of interpretation of search quality, and instead move into something that is more objective and quantitative. So there are some terms here on the screen that you can go and look up. There's a methodology or a calculation called NDCG, which stands for Normalized Discounted Cumulative Gain, and it's basically a math formula that allows you to calculate whether people are finding the things that they want to find. So rather than looking at the query for desk, seeing the desk lamp and feeling embarrassed about that, look instead at the NDCG score before you make some kind of a change and after you make that kind of change, and see if NDCG scores are moving in the right direction. NDCG is not the only way to measure search quality. There are multiple ways to do that. Feel free to contact us if you want to kind of look through that. And then finally, the point here about Cupid, there's an open source tool available from a consultancy in the search ecosystem called Cupid, and that product allows you to either gather judgments from users who can sort of go through a scorecarding process in order to sort of establish subjective benchmarks about the quality of search, or you can gather judgments automatically with Cupid and kind of show before and after scores for queries. So organize your time in the right way. Focus on the worst offending problems before the maybe the most emotionally offensive problems, and then use some kind of quantitative or objective way to improve search. Those would be the main things I would recommend as you approach holiday period. And you can go to the next slide, Garrett. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so another thing that you can do is here, the thing that Tim was talking about earlier is really a common story in the COVID-19 timeframe where, companies that did not have a live assistant or a chatbot type experience on their website quickly went and added one so that they could have some kind of interaction with their customer. And, this is really important in high touch type, sales processes where, a customer is doing a lot of consideration of a purchase, where they might normally want to go into a store and talk to a salesperson in order to understand the product a little bit better. So, if you have a product that is a highly considered type purchase, and you have put a chatbot onto the site in order to be able to kind of help them with, navigating the website or finding the information that they want, I kind of encourage you to start to think about what does it mean for the fuller product discovery and brand interaction or retailer interaction experience to happen through the chatbot. So how can I train the chatbot not just on frequently asked questions, but how can I train it on products and help customers find products through a dialogue interaction with the chatbot? This is a capability that Lucidworks has developed called Smart Answers, and is something that we can help you with if that's of interest for this holiday.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. All right. So that wraps up our three really critical and primary recommendations for e-commerce for this holiday. And I'll hand it over to Naomi.
Great. Thanks so much, Garrett and Peter and Tim. So hi, everyone. As we near the end of the webinar, thanks to those of you for entering in your questions. For others, you still have a chance to enter them now, so be sure to take advantage of this. Before we get started with the Q&A, here are some resources to help you prepare for the holidays. If you'd like to get in touch with us, shoot us a note over at lucidworks.com/contact. Great, and I'll turn it back over to you, Garrett.
All right, thank you, Naomi. So it looks like we have a couple questions in here, so we'll dive right into these. The first one, Peter, looks like it might be directed more for you. So it says, this was interesting seeing the different kinds of search tuning exercises. Is search tuning still a thing with machine learning and AI search?
It is, yeah, because machine learning and AI-driven search is really about models, and models. All a model is basically a way of assessing the quality of a user experience, and we might assess that through a variety of different signals, but our signal set may be incomplete. So let's say, for example, our model is based on what products people are clicking on, carting, and purchasing. And we're seeing that a particular product is getting clicked, carted, and purchased a lot for a given query. And so our model is pushing that thing towards the top. And maybe we have a new product coming out, and a model has identified that other product that was really successful is similar to this new product. And so therefore, we should give that new product the benefit of the doubt and push that up because we predict it will also be successful. So these are things that models are doing. Suppose that that's the case. Well, suppose that people are returning that product that they're clicking, carting, and buying because it's crummy. It's described really well on the website. It's a good deal. It's priced right. People are buying it, but when they get it, they hate it, and so they're returning it. In that case, you might want to think about how can I plug that information about returns into the model so that maybe I'm not pushing that product as prominently as I otherwise would, because we want people to be successful with the things that we sell them. So yeah, I think that the hope among a lot of companies is that machine learning driven search is going to save us from having to think about search. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, that's not the case, right? we can always figure out ways to improve our models and provide better experiences to our customers. And that's the world that we envision for retailers in the future.
Excellent, thank you. This next question we have here, do you need to be on Fusion to do the search engine optimization? So I can take that one. And so the answer there is no, and that's really the beauty of it. So regardless of your search and analytics platform, we can really help you out with this idea and with this concept. So the main thing is that we need some basic signal data, and I'm sure you guys are a lot of sites out there collecting, right? The searches, the clicks, the add to carts, things of that nature. And as long as we have that data, we can help optimize the search engine marketing ad buys. We're happy to run A/B tests against your current strategy to show the value as well. So yeah, it's not something that you need to be a subscriber of Fusion for. All right, so let's jump into, we got time for one more question here. I could probably answer this one, but maybe I'll pass this one over to Tim. Tim, the question is Alta or Snowbird? I know you guys are based in Salt Lake City, so do you have a preference there?
So that's a ski bum reference, and it's hands down Snowbird, but Alta is a very close second. And early season, that's where you want to be. And then as soon as January 1st kicks around, we have a full snowpack. You kind of forget about Alta, and you go over there for lunch. But yeah, we're lucky to have two of the top 5 North American ski resorts in one canyon. And but I'm a Snowbird skier. The tram, the lift service, and the train is just phenomenal.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing all the cool branded apparel out there on the slopes next winter. So thank you for that. All right, so let's hand it back over to Naomi.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Tim, Peter, and Garrett for presenting today. And thank you to everyone for joining. All the content from today's webinar will be sent to you after the conclusion of this webinar. So please feel free to share the content with your colleagues. Again, if you'd like to get in touch with our team, you can send us a note at lucidworks.com/contact. Thanks again for joining, everyone, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.